What's up, everyone? This is your boy Julian with another Clout Finder Talks. Today, I got my friend Mike Cortez in the building. How are you doing today, Mike?
How's it going, Julian? Thanks for having me.
Man, thanks for being here. And I'm really excited to be able to sit down with Mike because Mike is such a talented guy. He is a founder of a digital agency called Digital Empire. And Mike, you know what? I was gonna read your bio, but I'd rather just let you just kind of explain who you are, what you're about,
Yeah.
and so let's start off with who you are. Explain a little bit about Digital Empire, what you do, and let's start there.
Yeah. So I own a business called Digital Empire. It's predominantly a marketing agency in the digital space. Been in business for about 7 years now. So when I started this venture, this was 2017. Digital, we all knew was very important. We all knew how important and impactful social media was. And this was barely the beginning stages of the digital realm as far as how we know it today. Um, so we made a bold leap of really just going fully digital and just kind of ignoring all of the analog approaches to marketing. Because, in my opinion, even though it's biased towards digital with Digital Empire, was that these were platforms that eventually would become obsolete, just like we see every broadcasting platform or opportunity, right? So
Hmm.
um, with that being said, we kind of pivoted towards digital, stayed purely in that sector, and there really wasn't any other digital marketing, specifically agencies around in our area. Um, so we kind of put our flag down there. And since then, it's kind of evolved from marketing to almost like becoming a partner with everyone that we work with because they really rely on us on more than just marketing. It's okay, how do we build better infrastructure in our business? What are some technologies that you know of that can help us here and there? So we're almost like their IT slash consultants slash really partner, right? Like we really want to be as collaborative with our accounts as possible, but they have to pay the price, right? So it comes at a cost. Um, so I've been doing that for 7 years now. Very grateful. I have a full team now. It started with just myself and my original business partner, and then I met my other business partner shortly after that, and they traded spots. Danny Cortez, no relation. But since then, just us two to now, we have, I mean, a team of about 8 to 10 people now, with this video team that we also included. So I'm very grateful, very fortunate about where I am and what I'm doing and the journey that it took just to get here. But I'm more excited about the next stuff. What's the next venture? What's the next journey that we have to apply for? But yeah, that's a little overview of what I do and how long I've been doing it.
Sorry, Mike, I lost you for a sec at the end there.
Oh
Um,
no, the audio.
yeah, a little bit of connections, but
Okay.
basically, explaining how you kind of got to where you are with building your digital agency and moving from just being a marketer to a partner, because you help touch on so many aspects of like a brand or things of that nature. One thing you have to do is pay attention to digital trends and new things that are kind of popping up because strategy is a very competitive world in the digital marketing
Yeah.
space. It's a very, very competitive world in the social media space. And on any aspect of digital, things are always constantly evolving. So
Mhm.
currently for yourself as someone who's in the weeds every day, helping businesses grow, what are some of the biggest digital trends that you currently see, and what are some of, how do you pay attention? Like, what tips you off to, oh, this is a trend that's really worth paying attention to?
Right. So, I mean, that's a really good question, and there's a lot of answers that I can provide. But first and foremost, it's in all honesty, it's very difficult to kind of be in this industry specifically because of the amount of broad stroke knowledge that you really need, right? So I'm jumping into a new industry every time I talk to a new customer, and I have to figure out how do I understand your industry inside and out as fast as possible, so that I could tailor a solution specifically for your industry, for your problems, for all of that. Um, so that being said, with some accounts, I do lean very much towards social media still. That's still a very, very powerful platform and will be for, as long as I can tell. The only thing is who will be the main social media? Who's gonna own the crown for the next few years? And right now, it's very much on the fence with TikTok or Instagram. Those are kind of like the main platforms. Facebook, Twitter, those are all very, very relevant for their own reasons. But as a brand, as a company trying to connect with your customers, I am seeing the importance of content pick up more and more and more every day. Whereas before we tried to kind of social media was always kind of like the second guess, or like people would just kind of forget about their social media. Oh yeah, we need to post. Oh yeah, we need to, interact, whatever. Nowadays you need to be more consistent, and that comes with a lot of content on a daily basis. So now a lot of businesses are hiring agencies like mine, where our job is purely creative, pure content with the
Wow.
strategy and kind of big picture idea. So that being said, right now with TikTok and Instagram kind of going at it, I'm a very big believer that there's a gold mine right now for businesses, specifically when it comes to the reels. Um, no one knows who's going to be the winner. We don't know if TikTok's even going to be around in the US in a few years or so.
Hmm.
But with TikTok being a heavy presence as it is, and really eating everybody's lunch, including Amazon and all these industries outside of just social media, um, they're a threat to our norm as far as the social media realm goes, right? Instagram, Facebook, all of those. So now Facebook or Meta is really trying to win us back, or keep us here essentially, without abandoning ship, by giving us a similar algorithm to TikTok, still very different, but similar algorithm when it comes to incentives. So
Okay.
reels are the number one important content as far as I see for a business these days. Photos, graphics, all of that is still very relevant. It helps. It kind of keeps you top of mind on a daily basis for customers, people that you want to stay in contact with. But if you're not creating reels of any type, high quality, low res, just some kind of thought put into them, not just a video, or else you're becoming annoying, then you will see your follower growth increase. You will see your views expand, mostly because now Facebook is trying to use TikTok's approach of incentivizing the moment you start posting. So some people have, like the Demalios became, they had millions of followers like overnight, essentially, right? Like within a month
Hmm.
time period or something. And some people luck out and they just hit the right demographic, they have the right content, whatever that is. They um, the reality is that they were a nobody at one point, and then they had a million followers in a month, right? So that's where the shifts have changed when it comes to social media. I don't see that happening yet with Instagram, but I do see the on the analytics side, the videos always get minimum a couple of thousand interactions or views outside of your following. So that's the other thing. That's why I also emphasize this for business, because
So they
really in the
push it out in the
past,
algorithm more, basically. Oh, go ahead. Continue.
exactly. No, no, no. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, though.
Hmm.
So with these reels, what's happening is you finally have the ability to expand outside of your followers, where
Hmm.
followers aren't the number one priority anymore. They still are. They're still very important. But the fact that you can reach outside of your following is huge, because that was never an opportunity you had as a business unless it was paid advertisement or promoted,
Hmm.
or some kind of actual dollar amount put behind the videos. So that's where I'm kind of shifting gears with my business. We're going more content based, more creativity
Hmm.
based, and strategy. And then from there, they agree on our strategy plan. We build all the content, we schedule it, we basically run your whole digital footprint or digital presence for these businesses, just because they don't really know where to begin, or even start or continue. But yeah, that's probably the biggest trend I'm seeing right now. Besides that, it's more in the weeds of like automation and kind of getting into that realm of things internally as a business. That's something that we're exploring quite a bit. But that's up to you where you want to take that.
Okay, no, I think it's very interesting when it comes to the change in approach with yourself as an agency, because back in the old days it used to be, you create a sales funnel, and you create a video sales letter ad, you send someone to your landing page to sell them
Mhm.
something, and then you either convert or you send them on an email list, and then you blast them that way till you get
Yeah.
sales. And so, but it sounds like your mindset around what a funnel is has changed in a
This
way.
the top of the funnel. So the rest of the
Okay.
funnel is still very relevant in what you're
Hmm.
saying, right?
Hmm.
The only thing that I think is shifting consistently is the top part of the funnel, which is the traffic. So
Okay.
traffic is probably the most easiest and also the hardest part of the funnel. Ironically,
Hmm.
it's a very difficult topic, and also the quality of traffic, right? So that's another thing that you have to be very conscious of with your funnels. But once you start getting their information and kind of finding out more about who this person is, they're interacting with your emails, they're answering your texts, they're buying your product. Now your job is just to find more of those people and expand there. That's always been kind of like the universal truth for building a following, right, or a brand.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the top part is very much changing. It could come from anywhere now. It could come from social media, organic, paid, search. I mean, now you have the opportunity with YouTube Shorts. That's a whole other venture. Thankfully, they're all the same format, so you can now post, on all these platforms at once. Um, but the traffic is very crucial, because that's really your bread and butter. If you don't have traffic, well, then you can have this amazing automated funnel that does great conversions, but there's no traffic to convert. So that's always going to be where my head is, to improve our odds, I guess.
Okay, and it's interesting. And like I said, this is more conversation than just plain interview, so we can kind of go off on any
Mhm.
tangent we want. But an idea that's coming to my head that will be very interesting is kind of doing like the organic content creation that you're speaking of, but
Mhm.
then doing micro tests with like mini ads attached
Right.
to it. So it's like, you create the content, you let it do its organic thing, maybe let it run for like 2 days, and then or maybe even right afterwards, who knows, you can split test it. But
Right.
then eventually, whether it's immediate or after 2 days, you do these little mini ads connected to it, like $2 ads, $3 ads,
Yeah.
and you're building, you're hyper targeting within those that ad segment, but you're getting
Mhm.
your organic, you're really capitalizing off of the level of effort that you're putting into this organic content by guaranteeing you have a base audience that's going to be able to view it. And then if you have one that actually goes more viral, or you know is starting to catch, then you can actually put more ad dollars into it. Or
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
you're just giving me ideas off what
Yeah,
kind of
and that's where the strategy really comes to play, right? So every like I kind of said earlier, every industry is different when it comes to the problems that they're facing.
Mhm.
Some have a much heavier call to action that is much more of an obstacle to overcome. Like let's say a car salesman or a car dealership. They're for them they just want pure exposure because you won't want a car until you need a car or want to buy a car. So that's a scenario that you just kind of have to stay top of mind. That's why they're literally throwing hundreds of thousands, depending on the car dealership, just in broadcasting and putting their name out there. In my opinion, a lot of that is very much wasted, especially the TV uh, broadcasting. Unless it's on live TV, then I would, back that decision. Um, and from there, the paid ad approach that you're saying, specifically for the funnel or for the conversions, that's extremely important because that's a much more precise audience coming into your funnel that you at
Yeah.
least filtered out with the demographics, and these are the exact people I want clicking on my ad. So that's a much cleaner, how would you say, like pipeline, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and
Um,
then you can control it a little bit more too, because whenever you run an ad on any platform, you can always hyperlink it somewhere, so you can
yeah,
always send it. You
yeah.
know,
It all depends on the call to action, right? Are you just trying to get them to see your website? Are you trying to get them to purchase something, to sign up for something for free? That's the new obstacle as well with funnels, is asking for someone's email or phone number. The mainstream is just so savvy to that approach that they're not just going to sign up their personal email to just anybody. Like, you have to either have a really good incentive for them, and also incentive for them to not um, put a fake email or fake number or something like that, where they actually want their email in there because you're going to give them something so valuable that they had to bite, right? So that's where the strategy comes in as well with the funnel.
well, I think with getting someone's email or information just in general, because people are definitely becoming more savvy about the ramifications of just giving up your info and just being spammed for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
So it's really more about building a relation, and this is why your organic content is so important, because it's about building a relationship with your
trust, rapport.
audience, building trust, where it's like there's a reason why, and not just to get some tripwire, or I hate that term, but
Right,
to
right.
get something for free. um so and then it's like, okay, now I'm getting bombarded with a bunch of stuff I don't want anymore, but
Yeah,
more about saying, okay, you're getting not necessarily a newsletter, but like I want this person to have my information, even on like an example, like an event thrower. Like, you would want
right.
to be, if someone throws the best parties in your city, you want to be on their email list to know that the parties are coming up, because now that makes you cool.
Yeah.
And so it's more about kind of changing it to being like an inside relationship than just, trying to give away free, value that's really meant to overwhelm people so they can just buy your product.
Yeah, and that infrastructure needs to be there so that as time goes on, as you start connecting with your customers,
Hmm.
you're going to start seeing those numbers increase. But that's kind of the hard part about what we do, is all of this infrastructure needs to be built before we can put any effort or energy into the traffic side of things.
Hmm.
Otherwise, a fence that goes up fast falls down fast, right? That old Amish saying. I love to use that. Um, I was going to say something else about the funnel that you had mentioned. What were we talking about as far as the
Well, you were
email, the
talking about,
newsletter?
yeah, the email newsletter, where you are
Oh
people,
yeah.
why people are signing up, more
Mhm.
about the relationship, rather than just giving away their email
Yeah.
freely
No,
because they
no one's going to
want
sign
to.
up because it says newsletter. Like, nobody.
Yeah.
So what's in that newsletter? Are you like, let's say in your case in the crypto space, are
Mhm.
you making crypto news digestible for the everyday person?
Mhm.
Are you a personal trainer that's providing a tip every day, which will most likely be your content for social media? You're just repurposing it. What's going to make me want to sign up for your free service or free newsletter, and not want to unsubscribe from that? Because that's a whole other mess on its own, right? People won't sign up just because of that, just because of the unsubscribe process.
Absolutely. And so, kind of shifting gears a little bit, because you were talking about like just everything that goes into making any project work. It takes a lot just to make entrepreneurship work, right?
Mhm.
And so you've been on this journey for 7 years, and would love to hear more about your story of like how you became an entrepreneur, um,
Yeah.
what makes you, choose this lifestyle, and what's some advice to other entrepreneurs out there trying to, either gain their foothold, or even if you're, running, it's a battle every day.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's kind of the chaotic environment that you and I thrive in, right? Like
Mhm.
that's entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I definitely don't push that onto anybody unless they really have the heart for it. Um, and what I mean by that is, people expect, oh, I'm just going to start a business and then it's just going to take off and my life's going to be perfect and, this kind of rosy future. In all reality, it takes, I mean, right now for 7 years, like any other business, generally 5 years is kind of the tipping point, which is trying to figure out who you are, what you're selling, who you're selling to, getting customers, keeping the customers, that whole process of running a business to its core. Um, what I would advise when it comes to the entrepreneur journey is don't you can jump in, on the deep end. It's up to you how you learn. For
Mhm.
me personally, the what I did that really kept me afloat was I had these side gigs in the meantime that I kind of made this leap of faith away from the 9 to 5 life. So I had a lot of thankfully the gig economy was happening or started when I started my journey. So, Uber, I drove for Uber for 2 years. On top of going on Craigslist to try to sell websites, going to um, anywhere where I saw like let's say for instance they were hiring a web designer, I would reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'm an independent, a freelancer. Here are my rates if you're interested," or whatever the sales pitch would be. It was a lot of me just trying to figure out who wants to buy from me first, and then thankfully I had that and this Ashley contract, the Ashley Furniture, as an associate for them that I'm still working with and I'm still very grateful for. Having some kind of consistent, even if it's very little, just some kind of reliable income coming in is the
Mhm.
best advice I would give any entrepreneur, depending on your age and where you're at. Um, because I know people have jumped into the deep end and just they had some money saved, but you're surprised how fast that money really disappears these days. Um, so that's the heads up I would always give anybody there. But moving forward, I mean the part that the most exciting part is growing your business, is working on your business, is optimizing. When it was just me and my business partner, I mean, we were doing literally everything from accounting to copywriting to the web design, graphic design, marketing strategy, you name it, right? We did literally every step of the way was us, and nobody else was going to do it, so it had to be us. Then little by little, as we started growing our team, I immediately started seeing one the change of my mindset and where my focus was on a daily basis, but then also starting to think more like a leader in the terms of, okay, how do I come off to my employees? How am I taking care of them? How am I going to make sure that they don't leave in this economy with employees? It's very difficult to keep employees, right? That's just one of the biggest stresses every business, doesn't matter brick and mortar, digital, whatever. Employees will jump ship at any whim these days, and that's how it is. Um, so what I figured out was how to really keep them with you by, big surprise, just listening to them and kind of catering to them where they are looking for help or assistance. And all it is just trust. So once you built
Okay.
that trust with your employees, then you really start seeing your business take off. For me, it's been maybe 2 years that I've little by little been adding new employees to the team, and that's really where our business has completely skyrocketed. And that's where some services like what we've been talking about with video editing are really coming into play. Where now I have a full video team, and that's amazing. It's like a kid in a toy store.
Oh
Like I
my,
have so many toys to play with. It's amazing.
absolutely. It's so amazing seeing you grow. And so as you speak to building this trust, like what are some of the best, I don't want to say techniques, but just, even if it's just situations that you want to, bring where it shows that you were able to build trust with your employees and how that was able to create that connection for you to, you know, be able to scale to the next level within your business.
So for us personally, the shift that really made that path possible was having an infrastructure that is all in one software or one kind of command center. and everyone on my team is remote. So just FYI, like we don't have an office. We have like a place that we use for our mail and everything, but we're all a fully remote team. Everyone is working from home while they travel. Everyone has that luxury, and that's also why I think we're able to keep our employees. Is we're giving them what everyone kind of expects these days, a little bit of freedom in their work life. So that being said, with I use a tool called ClickUp. Every time I introduce it to another agency, their minds are just like blown away by how helpful this is, and not just to agencies, but just to other businesses in general. Um, because you can automate so much of your day to day, and not forget things, not miss things, not lose deadlines. Just everything to keep your ship clean. This tool has completely revolutionized that for my business. This is not an ad, like I'm just a big believer in the software. And you don't have to use ClickUp. You can use Notion. You could use Monday.com. They all do virtually the same thing. And then
Mhm.
each of them are kind of in this race where they're including AI into the thick of it. And that's really changing how we're starting to work as well. Is we're using AI for a lot of our copywriting, or a lot of our it speeds up the process for a lot of our creative process,
Mhm.
chores, I guess you could say. Um, but that being said, with this type of software, now what it does is it helps me automate my business to a certain degree, where not the mundane, but like the motor skill type uh, tasks that I kind of have to do every day are now automated. And little by little, I'm trying to chisel away at those chores as much as possible, whether it's delegating or automating. Um, but that gives me the opportunity to build on a small team without having to literally hire someone for every headache that I have. I'm really trying to keep this business as clean as possible. I like to remind this to people that may or may not know, but when Instagram sold to Facebook, they had a team of, I think, 12, 14 people max, and this was $1 billion business.
Purchase.
Like they sold for $1 billion, the purchase. So if Instagram can build to that volume, that level, with just a 14-person team, there's no reason why I can't do the same. So that's kind of really where my head is at. Again, a fence that goes up fast falls down fast. So I'm really big on the foundation. On if I can't handle one customer with these headaches, how am I going to handle 10? So I really look at each customer as a learning opportunity for the next one, or for the next 10, the next 20, the next 30. So that's kind of where my head is at these days with the business.
Okay, awesome. And so with that journey and preparing to kind of be the person to lead in the way that you have, I know we met because we were very, passionate about personal development. Can you kind of
Mhm.
go into what personal development means to you, what that looks
Yeah.
like to you, and why that's so important to who you are as a person?
Yeah. So I guess that personal development journey started when I probably had to have been like 18. It was fresh out of high school, I'm sure. You have all the questions in the world at this time. The pandemic, the recession, like just happened as soon as I graduated. So my head is like swirling with questions and uncertainties and fears, and it's getting into the real world is scary. Like you don't know what to expect or where to go or what to do, especially as a child. So the self development side of things, I knew I needed to. I knew what I was capable of, and I always knew what I could achieve. But I felt like I needed assistance from people that have either already achieved those goals, or were doing it, something that I wanted to do in my life. So I kind of seek these people. Ty Lopez was one of them. The standard, like the Tony Robbins, the Grant Cardone's, all the big names during that time. I read all of their books. I read all their blogs. I consumed whatever videos were out there at the time. And on the other side, even like the dating stuff, like I followed a lot of like dating advice, which ended up becoming self development in disguise. And that all kind of built a nice core um, persona for myself, or like it grounded me very well because I knew who I was. I kind of grew into myself over the years, and then
And Mike, you cut out. Mike, real quick, you
a
cut
bit.
out for a second. So can you just kind of give a brief, like, 10-second overview of what that core was again? within.
Uh, the core, as far as my
You said you were
like my
doing
self
right.
development.
Yes, I know
Yeah.
you said you were
So
doing Grant Cardone and then the dating, but just like the overall core.
yeah, so I picked up a few nuggets from everybody, but people that I followed, like let's say for instance, Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone,
Mhm,
Tony Robbins, Gary Vee. Um, man, I mean the list goes on and on, right? Real Social Dynamics, which was on the dating side.
mhm,
All what I found out about myself with all the self development was there's things that little nuggets I could learn from everybody and apply to my life because I personally, one, I need the frame, the I need a reference to kind of follow, a self guide to follow for the rest of my life.
mhm,
And these people had personality traits or skill sets or whatever that I very much looked up to. Um, and because I built that core personality, learning from others, it really helped me in ways I never expected. Like let's say, for instance, with Ty and books, um, by reading a book, he was doing a book a day, which is crazy, right? But I was doing a book a week at one point. That alone, I mean, just skyrocketed my conversations, my business opportunities somehow. Like everything improved just by talking about books, and it's the weirdest thing that kind of got me more motivated to read more. Where now I could actually have a conversation with people in industries I know very little about, and just throw a little nugget. Like let's say, for instance, I'll be talking to people in the medical field, doctors, surgeons, whatever. And all I have to do is mention something geeky on the medical side, like epigenetics, which I read a book on. And I was very
mhm.
fascinated by it. And they will take the conversation like from there, right? So these little buzzwords that you kind of pick up from books, these little pieces of information, you'd be very surprised where that takes you in your business, in your thought process, in your conversations, doors that it opens. It's really interesting. And then the social side, the dating stuff helped me quite a bit because I was just a very like socially awkward dude, and building a frame to follow for myself that was my most I guess, most confident self. Um, that helped me in a way I didn't expect, especially in my business, where people wanted to talk to me, they wanted to hang out with me, then things kind of turn into business. So a lot of times people want to be in business with friends or people that they trust or just like that they want to be around. So that really benefited me in the long run, thankfully, because I put that time into myself. I think that's very valuable. Everyone needs to put that time into themselves and focus inward before you start these big dreams and goals. Did we cut off again?
And
Hold on, we,
I
we cut
think
off
that
a
with
good
personal
chunk, Billy.
development.
We might have
Oh,
to go back.
can
I
you hear
lost you
me?
for like a good minute. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
I pretty much heard most of what you said, so I think we're pretty solid.
okay.
Um, so with the personal development piece, I think that naturally dives into the conversation of personal brand and kind of bringing this back digital. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
even with a lot of those people that you learn from, those mentors that you mentioned, those were people who were building personal brands
Mhm.
digitally. And even with what you consume to the content you put out, um, you're building a personal image online that's you know going to leave a fingerprint.
Right.
And so when it comes to Sorry, I was dropped for a second, Mike.
Oh, you're good. We're back.
We're Last thing you heard from me.
Honestly, you cut off as soon as you started talking. Yeah, so I don't know where we left off. Excuse me.
Okay, so I was saying that building off what you were saying with the personal development piece, right?
Mm.
And a lot of the people you mentioned that you were learning from, they have what we call personal brands.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to even adding from your personal development, but also looking at the digital side of things, um, what would you define as a personal brand, as a brand, and how would you suggest building those in the modern era?
Yeah. So personal brand and depending on if you're, are we talking about entrepreneurs here? Are we talking about just everyday people? What's the
Well, just to give you a background of like our target audience, we
okay?
focus on creatives who,
Okay.
are passionate around media, technology, and
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Okay. So the way that I see brands, personal brands, business branding, all of that, it's becoming more and more important as really any entrepreneur or any creative that wants to make a business off of their craft or make a living off of their craft. They both are going to blend in very much together depending on the path you take. But with a brand, you now have a way to put yourself out there in the best light possible. And with that, it's about trust. It's about, whatever that value is that you provide. Is it entertainment? Is it trust? Is it information that's helpful? For me, I follow a lot of podcasts. I'm very big on podcasts.
Hmm.
Um, and the more that I get to know a podcaster, for instance, I have my routine, like my daily routine of different podcasts that I listen to. And there's certain people that I have so much trust in because they've kind of earned it with me over time. Um, that when they push something like a book, for instance, like I bought this book because of a podcast. Like I
Hmm.
trust what they say and that they have the right intentions. And that's a brand, right? That's a personal brand. That's building trust without me personally meeting this person. Um, so there's a lot of power to it. And I really think the way that business is going in the digital world is we're going from having, let's just say, limited options when it comes to uh, marketing to having a full abundance of options, but it's focused in on individuals now. So Olipop, I don't know if you've ever heard of that brand before. I think I gave you one of those recently, right? Olipop. It was like a prebiotic drink.
Yes. Yes.
So they are a good reference on how a business can get really creative and personal, but still keep their professional side going, right? So they actually leverage personal brands quite a lot. I bought a pack of like four of them recently, and it came with a card to download an app so that I would get rewards in exchange for shouting out Olipop. Like if it tracks my tags, my hashtags. I don't know exactly how it does it, but um, now brands are figuring out how to tap into the local level of, like for me, I have 8,000 followers or so. They're all for the most part in my area, like people that I've interacted with or indirectly know in my little sphere here locally. But with that audience, Olipop wants to utilize my brand, my trust that I've built with these people in exchange for, here's a shout out of your brand. So I think we're going to see a lot of those strategies pop up more and more where they're not just collaborating with the Kardashians or whatever. Now it's more localized, it's more personal, where all of your friends are pushing Olipop. Okay, maybe I'll try it because my friends are into it. Um, so if you have the persona, the creative side that has an audience and that has people that want more, you have a business on your hand. It doesn't really, you don't even need to have the objective of business. You just need the objective of how do I keep creating badass content,
Hmm.
So that's the world that we're kind of in right now, which is really fun. I love it.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And so I'm gonna start wrapping this up soon because who knows what our internet's gonna do to us right now.
I know.
So, but I have a few more questions for you that I just want to get out. So if you could learn one new skill to survive in the new current climate of where we are in 2024, what would that
Mhm.
skill be and why?
Okay, so and I'm guessing this is for let's just say like me 10 years ago or something,
No, you right now.
or me
You
right
right
now.
now. Like if you can snap your fingers, you have magic powers and you can automatically have any skill.
Yeah. So that skill would honestly, I would love to be a master of AI everything. If I
Mhm.
had, I need to kind of set the time because it's becoming that big of a priority. But I would genuinely, and I'm working on it. I need to build this skill set of one, understanding what AIs are out there, like what opportunities there are, and then also how to navigate that world, but more specifically, how do I build on top of AI? Because my personal belief is that's the next evolution to the internet or the world that we're in right now. The cell phone was one thing, crypto's another. They're all building the infrastructure, but right now it really comes down to AI and being able to build efficiently without having to have such a large team. So I think I would probably lean towards that, to be honest with you.
Okay, okay. And what are some AI tools that have caught your attention recently?
I mean, the big names are still taking all the attention. The GPTs, the Mid Journey is amazing. It's only getting more and more advanced,
Mhm.
specifically for my industry, right? Like I can now upload 4 photos and the AI will blend them together. So I could mock up much faster. I can sell the vision much faster, or we could actually use that in the actual content, depending on how we maneuver that. There's a few video editing apps coming out there. I don't really know any of them or vouch for any of them yet, but it's to come, right? And I need to be aware of that because that's, in my opinion, a threat to my business, but also an opportunity for my business. And
Mhm.
what's the next product we can sell on top of that? That's the thing, is it's always about adapting in this day and age. Um, you have to adapt or die.
100%, 100%. And I think that leads perfectly into the last question when it comes to adapt or die, and that is, what legacy slash impact would you like to leave on the world when it's all said and done?
Yeah. Um, so when I started my business, the idea that I had in my head was always to help businesses and individuals adapt to the times, because the what I'm seeing in the trend of the internet of information technology, the modern age that we're in right now, it's ramping up so fast that if you are not keeping up with all of this on a daily basis, fast forward to,
Mhm.
let's just say, 5 years from now, when you're finally feeling like, you know what, maybe I should start looking into this AI thing or this crypto thing or this,
Mhm.
what's going on technology wise. The gap of 5 years is so significant these days, whereas before you could catch up much easier.
Mhm.
Um, that for me was an opportunity as a businessman to sell a service where I knew so many people, especially the older generations, Gen X and baby boomers, were just so behind in the times, that they needed this kind of technical guru, or uh, back when I started, I was telling them I was a professional millennial because that was before
Yeah.
Gen Z was even old enough, and they understood it. They're like, oh, okay, you can do a little bit of everything. Great, that's what we need.
Mhm.
So I'm still holding true to that belief because I'm seeing, again, the trends of like AI and everything. My job is to keep businesses moving and thriving no matter the day and age that we're in.
Mhm.
And strategies change, technologies change, platforms change, and it's up to me to be the translator, the catalyst for other businesses, um, to stay competitive. That's we
Mhm.
need that. We need that competition.
And awesome. And I'm gonna leave it right there. So, Mike, just for people who want to get in contact with you or want to follow you or want to, you know, potentially hire you, how do people get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can follow my Instagram, mike.empire. That's really where I'm most active these days.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely see any DMs, anything that comes in there. You can also visit my website, Digital Empire, MRKT, as in marketing.com. And I'm sure you'll add it in the notes, right, Julian?
Absolutely.
For anybody that needs that. That'll probably be the best two ways that I would at least see your contact coming in. But thank you for
Okay,
having me.
awesome.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming out, and definitely we're gonna have you back in the future
Yeah.
where there's more things to talk about, and you know we have a better connection. So I appreciate you,
Yeah.
Mike. Always, you know, a pleasure to have your attention, and you know we'll do it again soon.
Yeah. Congrats on your channel, man. This is exciting.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right, peace, Mike. Peace,
All
everyone.
right,
Have
bro.
a great rest of your day.
Take care.